this matter of Treyvon Martin and George Zimmerman, if you are convinced beyond a doubt, in fact, you've already decided years ago that George Zimmerman is as guilty as sin, that had George Zimmerman went on about his business, Trayvon Martin would be alive today. And so your mindset is you're focusing on the fact that Trayvon Martin was black and you believe that George Zimmerman is white. He isn't. His father is Baptist, his mother is, she's from Peru. He's Latin, a mixture of Latin and white. He really isn't white. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and all that crowd jumped the gun. They thought he was white, but he isn't. He's Latino. At any rate, you are convinced that, and ain't nothing, no matter what I preach, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, ain't nothing in the world gonna convince you that George Zimmerman is not guilty. But you're wrong. And the only reason why you think that way is because you're black. Because you see the world not through the blood of Jesus, you see the world through your black eyes. You have not changed yet.
Sharpton to lead Justice for Trayvon rallies. The Reverend Al Sharpton announced Tuesday that he will lead a National Justice for Trayvon Day in 100 cities this weekend to press for the federal civil rights charges against George Zimmerman. And then we have Snoop Doggy Dogg, or he actually likes to be referred to as Snoop Lion, says Zimmerman prosecution was lacking because Trayvon Martin was black. If that had been a black-on-black crime, it would have been a conviction no matter what. Says the prosecution, they represented Trayvon Martin horribly. Says they just didn't put on a great case for him, and to me, if you're fighting a case like that, you've got to bring the best people to represent, especially when the boy is dead and not here to represent himself. So moving on here, we have struggling to see justice in Zimmerman verdict. And I'm just going to go with the title here. If you're interested in reading the actual article, you can go in there, but I like to go in and cover some of what the mainstream media is covering it, what I see as a slant, their agenda. Struggling to see justice in Zimmerman verdict. That's because there is no justice. There never was. Like I said before, there will be no justice for Trayvon after, and there will be no justice for Zimmerman. Like I said, the guy will be lucky to live, a few years. People say, well, he's guilty. So it's just interesting because the people that support the verdict, they're still supporting the justice system. The people that are out there still trying to protest, they're expecting riots, race riots. You hear that on the alternative media. That didn't happen because now you see the black community, they trust the justice system. They're trying to protest. They're trying to have sit-ins and stuff like that. And that's why you have Obama and the White House saying they're backing away from the Trayvon Martin case. Why? Because justice was served. If he questions the justice system, well, then it's illegitimate. Well, it's illegitimate anyways. So that's why Mr., I guess you'd call him the first black president, the first mulatto president, is going to say that. George Zimmerman will get his gun back after acquittal. So, he's going to have to wear a what? He's going to have to wear a bulletproof vest around, and he's going to have to carry a firearm on him all times. So it's funny, though. It's just like, when they finally get their multicultural, which is basically there will be no more white people left, what are they going to say then? Oh, he's black, he's white. Well, they're going to have a coffee race, so they can't play the racist card. So eventually it will turn against them. I guess that's one of the positives or upsides to look at it, right? It'd be one less tool they have in their toolbox for divide and conquering. A juror says Trayvon played huge role in own death. So Trayvon Martin played a huge role in his death, one of the 6 jurors said. Of course, this has been rebuked, I guess, by the other 4 jurors in the mainstream media. That they're trying to push that too, that this is illegitimate. Says when George confronted him, he could have walked away and gone home. He didn't have to do whatever he did and come back and be in a fight. So this is all about being a victim. I see that in the comment board too. It's like, Darko, this was clearly injustice. He was a victim. Again, we're talking about victim mentality. The black community has a victim mentality. Unfortunately, they have a black mentality just as much as whites have white guilt. And again, these are tools that are played for social engineering. Student activists holding sit-in at Florida Governor Scott's office over Zimmerman verdict. So members of the student activist group remained inside the Florida State Capitol Wednesday afternoon, determined to wait until they can ask Governor Rick Scott, a Republican, in person to revisit several state laws they say endanger youth of color around the state. Online activist stifles opportunistic Zimmerman jurors' attempt to land a book deal. So, the woman behind the petition to stop one of the jurors in the George Zimmerman murder trial from writing a book about her experience told Fusion on Tuesday that even she was surprised when it succeeded. I was expecting to start that change.org petition, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, then just ask more and more people to sign it. I wasn't expecting to get over 1,000 signatures in a night, so... Tavis Smiley says, I'm waiting to hear the NRA say if Trayvon Martin had a gun, he might still be alive. I say what's missing in this conversation is the reality that most whites are killed by other whites. Most blacks are killed by other blacks. Now, that is a complete lie, because I've seen statistics just in the past week, and the homicide rates were actually down for youths, but they were like 300% higher for blacks. Unbelievable. Again, I'm not saying that they're predisposed to do this. They're in their own little paradigm that's been created for them by the engineers, just like everybody else. So that, they got the cards they're dealt with. But it says, but again, it gets into the victim mentality. Trend at Baptist churches to promote civil unrest. I heard this on the radio yesterday. A few controversial Baptist church signs are promoting a racist America akin to Reverend Wright sermons. Seems to be a common trend of Marxist black liberation theology at many of the Baptist churches. One report is out of Chicago. It says here, a Chicago Baptist church posted the sign that says, "It is safe to kill black people in America," with America being basically spelled America KKKA. So moving on here, we have a story from The Blaze. Group of black youths reportedly beat Hispanic man while yelling, "This is for Trayvon." Now this is interesting because in my last video, what did I say? I said, yeah, they're not going to just take it out on white people. They're going to actually probably go after Mexicans now. So, and here it goes. Police in Baltimore say that they're investigating the claims of a witness who apparently saw a group of black youths beat a Hispanic man while screaming, "This is for Trayvon." So it really does suck for them because they're going to either, what is justice to them? It's either they're going to go through the court system or they're going to result to violence. All right. Then we have, "This is for Trayvon. 3 black men attack white man in Mississippi, claim justice for Trayvon." These are all 15th to 16th. So, Police Chief Steve Holt told Fox News the alleged victim, who is white, was jogging Sunday night along Highway 51 when he said the suspects pulled over and ordered him to get inside their car. One of them asked, "Do you know who Trayvon Martin was?" Holt quoted the man as saying, "At that point, the men in the vehicle allegedly attacked him." The man, who the chief described as a young resident of the area, was treated at the local hospital. So they reported the assailants allegedly told the victim, "This is for Trayvon." It says the jogger was badly beaten and later dropped off on the road, so in Mississippi. Packs of young robbers hit L.A. last night, police say. They're not believed to be connected to the Zimmerman protest. Well, no, of course not. That wouldn't be politically correct. Trayvon protesters raid L.A. Walmart, so LAPD promises crackdown after protest turns violent, so I guess they'll say that they're being targeted. It says here, photographer attacked. A CBS photographer attacked during Crenshaw protest, so while covering the Zimmerman protest. Okay, we're going to keep moving here. Nugent, and now this is going to be kind of controversial here, so I'm not saying I completely support what this guy's saying. Ted Nugent's new racist rant. This is coming from Raw Story. It's a liberal site. The blacks are to blame for their own repression. So he goes on here and he says that he unleashed a racist tirade. And I'll try to find the quote here. So it says here, I like this, the gun and bow hunting advocate said that African Americans need to put their heart and soul in being honest, law-abiding, and delivering excellence at every move in their life, and then they'll be, in his mind, successful. He continued to blame African Americans for their own oppression, insisting that the worst racism against blacks is documented and undeniable by blacks. They have brought this into this lie, and somehow they're oppressed when the president is black, the attorney general is black, governors are black, senators are black, congressmen are black, mayors Oprah Winfrey, the richest people in the world are. It says it's a dirty lie. Moving on, we have, and now it all makes sense. Treyvon family attorney admits a greater duty to be a social engineer. You cannot make this stuff up. So it says here the Treyvon family attorney Jasmine Rand from the Darryl Parks and Ben Crump law firm makes the following statement at 2:35 in a Fox News interview. I have a greater duty beyond the law, and that's to be a social engineer. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give like a bigger picture here, how they're actually social. What she said, they're socially engineering society. They already have. They push little buttons, and what I'm trying to point out is we need to look at the justice system, the state power itself, as no longer legitimate. I don't know if it ever was, but just for the sake of here on out, I don't think it's legitimate. But people will keep recognizing that. But you'll see little things being played like this, striking similarities to the Trayvon Zimmerman case. This is exactly how they titled this headline, and this is basically about what? This is about the 76-year-old man to stand trial in shooting death of 13-year-old boy. Actually, it has nothing to do, it has no striking similarities at all. I saw this come up on Yahoo News last night, and basically almost every commenter noticed it right away. They said stop, race baiting and all that, and trying to create this. This just gets better and better. The Wire creator, David Simon on Trayvon Martin case, ashamed to be an American. First thing I thought, is he a Jew? So I actually went in there, and let's see, David Simon, and I go down here, and it says that he was born, he was born from a son of Dorothy, a homemaker, and Bernard Simon, a public relations director for B'nai B'rith, a freelance journalist. He was raised in a Jewish family, originated in Eastern Europe, Hungary, changed her name from Leibowitz to Ligeti. So, attended Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and on it goes. So, there you go. Yeah, so he basically said that he's ashamed to be an American. Finally, white people are starting to get it. This is from Newser.com. In the wake of Trayvon, there's a greater awareness of white privilege, says Eric Liu. So, it's not so much about empathy as about owning up to the unequal privilege of being non-black and saying, in essence, I am George Zimmerman, writes Liu, and because I'm George Zimmerman, I get to have my fears trump reality. They keep saying about reality. This is very interesting. They keep using that word reality. Get out of jail free cards. I get a presumption of innocent victimhood no matter what my own acts or attitudes. So remember what I said before. You're talking about, this is an attack on gun owners too, right? This is an attack on gun owners to not be able to defend themselves. It's about, stand your ground. Well, don't stand your ground, because if you do, you might spend a year in jail, lose all your money, and then have a mark on your head. Two other points that I kind of came up with was that now it's going to make it for basically whites, if they want to defend themselves against non-whites, they're going to be racist. So any crimes against blacks by non-blacks in self-defense is unjustified. Therefore, they still want justice for Trayvon. Eric Holder slams stand your ground laws. So this is a guy that just recently lied, officially lied. They need a hard look in the wake of the Trayvon Martin case, he said. I believe he also wants to basically stop the Second Amendment. He says it's time to question laws that senselessly expand the concept of self-defense and sow dangerous conflict in our neighborhoods. His speech today follows one yesterday in which he referred to the tragic, unnecessary shooting death of Martin. Blacks benefit from Florida's Stand Your Ground law at disproportionate rate. So it says African Americans benefit from the Florida Stand Your Ground self-defense law at a rate of that far out proportion to their presence in the state's population, despite the assertion by General Holder that Stand Your Ground would help African Americans. Black Floridians have made about a third of the state's total Stand Your Ground claims in homicide cases, a rate that nearly doubles the black percentage of Florida's population. The majority of those claims have been successful, a success rate that exceeds that for Florida whites. Affirmative action hurts more than helps blacks. It says here that the claim that disproportionate racial representation is in of itself proof of racial discrimination is not only patently false, it's bad policy, it's a formula for the imposition of racial quotas. Recently, this white university student, Abigail Fisher, lost the affirmative action case. in the Supreme Court. Oh, Jesse Jackson wants Libya, Cuba, and China to investigate the Martin shooting. MLK's Nissan viral hoodie image, Dr. Martin Luther King would not wear a hoodie. Well, remember the statue that Martin Luther King had a memorial with? It was made in China. That's right. U.S. government education website for kids yanks quote by Mao Zedong, and a new narrative for Europe written by Barroso, a young Maoist. Thank you.